We are continuing our talk about mental health and wanted to chat with our very own medical expert, Dr. Payal Kohli.
Hey, Doc.
Dr. Kohli, thank you for joining us.
So, yeah, we're going to calm down.
Do we all need to take a breath?
We did want to talk to you about the very unfortunate news we heard about Amanda Bynes. TMZ reports that she was placed on a 5150 psychiatric hold after she was found early Sunday morning walking near downtown LA without any clothes on. She reportedly waved down a car and called 911 herself. So what does a psychotic episode look like, and what exactly happens to someone when they're put on hold?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. A psychotic episode is our brain playing tricks on us. It literally makes us lose touch with reality. And there are a few different components of a psychotic episode. So the first is hallucinations. These can be auditory, so we hear things that are not there, like voices. They can be visual. So we see things, people that may or may not exist, and we actually believe it. And the second part of it is a delusion. So we actually believe things that are not part of reality. And these can be delusions of grandeur. So we feel like, oh, President Biden is inviting me to the White House to have lunch. Or they can be delusions of persecution driven by fear. The CIA is after me, the FBI is after me, the terrorists are after me. So it can be an extremely frightening episode, and we're inside it, so we don't know what's happening to us.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So,
I've heard stories like that.
But what does it tell you that she was able to call the police herself?
It's a really positive sign. So if you think about it, it's a spectrum, guys. So you either completely lose your grip on reality or only partially lose it. So with her, at least she had enough insight into her behavior to know that something's wrong. She's not behaving the way that she ought to. And it's a big deal for her to call the police, because the police and the medical professionals then put somebody on that psychiatric hold. And I still remember the first time that I did it in medical school. It was just a jarring experience, because you're taking away somebody's fundamental autonomy. You're saying they're not capable of having liberty, and it's either because they're a danger to themselves, they're a danger to somebody else, or in her case, you know, they don't have the basic needs of life: food, clothing, and shelter.
Well, Doc, I want to ask you something that, just because it's everywhere you look now, and that is psychedelics. I'm hearing people talk about it, just kind of regular folks, and psychedelics is back. And we even have people like Prince Harry and the quarterback Aaron Rodgers talking about the benefits of ayahuasca. Like, can you walk us through, like, what is ayahuasca? What are some of the benefits, detriments, etc.?
Well, you know, people think it's benign because it's a plant, but there's actually teas out there that can stop your heart. And I mean, this is what drugs are manufactured from. A lot of them are highly purified plant derivatives. And so you have to be careful. Just because it's available doesn't mean it's entirely safe. But essentially what it does is it's a hallucinogen, like LSD or ketamine or, you know, shrooms, psilocybin, any of those types of things. And it basically resets your brain. So think about your brain like a giant computer, and this psychedelic essentially clears all the networks that currently exist over there. So it changes the brain waves, and it tries to establish new connections or new networks.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's a hard reset on our computer.
Is that a good thing if you're suffering from trauma?
So, you know, it's
and you
starting...
have like a shaman or a doctor with you?
Yes, so I would say with the caveat that it has to be very, very supervised. So unsupervised use of these types of substances is actually linked to more health risks, both physical risks, abdominal pain, nausea, vomiting, headaches, but also mental risks. So people who use these substances report more depression, more feelings of loneliness on a regular basis, more dissociation from self, nightmares and hallucinations. So when you're continuing to hit reset on your brain's computer, you're going to fry that computer chip at some point. So you have to be really careful, because chronic use of this over time could fundamentally change you as a person, change your personality, increase your risk of dementia. These are all questions we don't have answers to.
I think we're seeing it because it's so easily accessible for people who aren't necessarily using it properly. And you can see the lights going out, and I'm fearful that they don't come back.
Right. Not only is it accessible, though, Erica, I think it's also the fact that it's normalized. In our culture, we're talking about it like it's okay to use it. And these are dangerous substances that can change the way your brain works, your wiring works. We just have to be really careful.
Eric and I have talked about that.
Yeah, it's an issue.
All right, Dr. Kohli, thank you so much for being here and, of course, answering all of our questions. DBL Nation, Dr. Kohli has a new podcast. Make sure to give it a listen. It is called Heart of Medicine with Dr. Kohli. Wherever you get your podcast, tune in.